What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I finally got set up for powder coating, so I want to show you how cheap and easy you can get into powder coating at home and get amazing results. So we just have a few little things to powder coat today, nothing major, but I kind of just want to test out this new gun and oven and make sure everything is working before we actually go in to do something big and important. So we want to get everything dialed in before we do anything important. So this is the gun I picked up. This is a red line powder coating system. So another option, if you don't want to spend this much, this was around 350 bucks. If you don't want to spend that much, you can pick up the Eastwood powder coating gun, which it works. It's not as good, not as nice, and doesn't spray nearly as nice, but it does work, and it's like 100 bucks. But the main reason I bought this one is because the Eastwood was all back ordered. So my brother Devin actually has this same gun, and he says it is amazing. So we're gonna try it out. And then another thing you're gonna need is an oven. So I just got a regular household oven, got a custom handle on her, but picked this up Craigslist. It was like 60 bucks, I think, and it does work. So what we're gonna powder coat today is a few things for the rear bumper. So my whole license plate mount, these two little washer plate deals for the bolts that bolt onto the bumper, and then I'm gonna pull all the hooks out of the bed here because you see they're a little rusty. So we're gonna pull all those hooks out and sandblast everything, and then we can start powder coating. Alright, we got everything sandblasted, and I'm gonna also powder coat the bolts too. I'm not worried about the threads, obviously. Probably not get a whole lot of powder on those, but just the faces or the heads of the bolts, we're gonna powder coat. So this is the gun, really easy to set up. All you really gotta do is put the tip on it, put your adapter in for the air line, and then you put the powder right in this cup, thread it on the gun, and you're spraying. If you guys have never messed with prismatic powders, they have amazing selection of powders and Cerakote if you're interested in Cerakote as well. You guys have seen me do powder coat and some Cerakote work on the red truck, but we're gonna get this thing ready. One thing else I'm gonna do is I got the oven preheating. It is pretty clean already, but I'm gonna clean it one more time just to make sure that there's no more grease or anything left in there that can screw up the powder coat. So we gotta make sure the oven's clean. So once that oven warms up, we'll spray it with some Easy Off, let that sit for, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, and then scrub it up. It'll be cleaned up, and then we can start powder coating. There we go, guys, got this thing scrubbed up, looking brand new. There's still just a little bit that I really couldn't get off down there, but not a big deal. So we're gonna let this thing heat up and kind of burn off any extra fumes and everything else from the oven cleaner, and then we can start getting everything ready for powder coat. Alright, we got everything set up except for the main license plate bracket, but everything else is hung up, ready to go. So what you got to do is we're going to throw it in the oven at 400 degrees, get it warmed up, and this helps bake any impurities out of the metal, anything on the surface, and help bake it off and clean it up. And then we'll pull it out, we'll let it cool off, we'll spray it with the powder, and then we'll throw it back in the oven. And every powder is different. This powder cures at 400 degrees for 12 minutes. once the part reaches 400 degrees. So you don't just bake it for 12 minutes. You put it in, you get one of these little infrared thermometers, and once the part reaches 400 degrees, then you count your 12 minutes, and then you pull it out, let it cool off, and you're done. So while we're waiting for the parts to warm up and all that good stuff, we can get this gun ready. So all we really got to do, take the cup, fill it up with powder. Well, we don't need to fill it up. For this small a part, I mean, we could put maybe an inch in the bottom, and that'd be plenty. And then hook up the air line. So originally, I was going to hook up my regulator for when I paint, but it had a different size thread, or different, it was female instead of male, and this one needs a male. So what we got, I just put an adapter on here. I'm going to hook it right to the air line for the compressor. But this thing runs between 15 and 40 psi. So you have to turn down the regulator on the air compressor. So I got this back here, a little setup there. So I got that at looks like 30 pounds. So if Devin experienced this, he thought the gun was bad. He had his compressor all the way up at like 90 psi, and the gun wasn't working. It even shows there's a safety valve inside the gun, and it won't work. So you got to be aware of that. Turn your compressor down, and we'll hook it up. We'll get powder in here and make sure everything works. All right, we got a couple adjustments on this gun. So we have a flow adjustment here, and then the knob on the back is the voltage adjustment. I'm not exactly sure when you should adjust the voltage, but this is basically airflow into the gun. So essentially that's how much powder you'll be pushing through the gun. So they say in the book to close this all the way off and then open it up until you get a good pattern and enough powder coming out. But it doesn't really specify when to adjust the voltage. So I guess we'll just mess around with getting the flow right, and then we'll mess around with the voltage adjustment and see what changes when we adjust that. All right, we got these out, most of the way cooled off. So I got the ground hooked up onto the actual grate itself, and hopefully that'll give me good enough ground, because I'm not going to be able to ground at least onto these screws with the clamp there. So get the gun out, start spraying. Make sure you wear a respirator. You do not want to breathe this stuff. It's not super like fumey, but you just don't want to inhale the powder. So let's see what we can do. You see we got the stuff in here, and we're right about almost 400, 390, we're close enough. So we're gonna start the timer now, 12 minutes, and we'll pull it out and see how they look. There it is, just pulled these out. Looking pretty good, everything covered, nice, and pretty happy with it. So we're gonna let that cool off. We'll get this main plate hung up and baked, and then we can spray that one as well. There it is, guys, we're all done. Everything turned out really good. Very happy with the finish and how it all turned out. So this is called Stone Black. It's just basically a satin black, so that'll look good. There we go, guys, hooks are in, looking much better than the old rusty style. So glad we got those coated, looking a lot better. So I will say that Redline gun definitely sprays very nice, a lot better than the Eastwood gun. That's all I've ever used in the past is the Eastwood setup, which for the money, it's a very good gun. I'm not downing them at all, very good gun. But the Redline, it is 3 times the price, but it does work a lot better. And no, this is not a paid advertisement. I spent my own money on the gun, not affiliated with them at all. Just wanted a good powder coating gun. So if you guys want to check out anything I use, the gun, the powder, anything at all, I'll have everything linked down in the description box. You can go check it out if you're interested in getting into powder coating. I won't have the oven link because I just bought that off Craigslist. Just go buy a cheap household oven and it'll work just fine. You just have to make sure you clean it really good. So I'm gonna wrap this one up here, guys. I know it was short. I hope you learned something, and I hope that if you wanted to get into powder coating, now you know it's not that expensive. You get into it pretty cheap and it's very easy to do. The one thing I love about powder is it doesn't make a big mess. It doesn't take hours or days to dry. Literally takes 20 minutes to cool off and you're done, it's cured, and it does not make a big mess of the shop. So you can see here underneath where I sprayed, I haven't cleaned anything up. There's seriously no powder on the ground. You don't have to mask off the whole shop. And if you do get powder on something, it's powder. You take your compressed air and you blow it off, and it doesn't stink up the entire shop for days. So you're definitely gonna see me do more powder coating on the channel. Really love this stuff. It's very durable and it's a lot of fun to do, a lot more fun than painting. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.